Union Avenue is like its own world.
You'd measure it out and then put it in a spoon or a can, anything you can cook it on, and add water to it. Dissolve it really well and throw a cotton in there for a filter.
This 31-year-old Bakersfield black tar heroin addict is getting prepared to shoot up for his daily high.
And draw it up, tie off if you're hitting a vein, or just stick it in your arm if you're gonna muscle it. Within seconds, you feel it. You feel like a rush of warmth coming over you from your arms or wherever you're hitting up to your heart and to your brain. Anything you're depressed about or upset about, it just doesn't seem like it's important.
The United States is in the middle of an opioid crisis that's becoming progressively worse, including right here in Kern County.
We've seen a significant increase in black tar heroin. For example, in 2013, we seized less than a pound of heroin. Last year, we seized over 35 pounds.
And heroin addict Ben, as we'll call him, is right in the center of the issue.
So how many times a day do you shoot up, would you say?
Like 4 to 6 to as many as I can, you know.
71 people in Kern County died from opioids in 2017, and 165 people in Kern County overdosed on heroin, according to the California Department of Public Health. Ben alone knows over 20 people who have died from overdosing on heroin, and he says the issue is surprisingly more widespread as compared to recent years in Kern County.
I've run into kids that are still in high school and they're already doing it.
Ben has spent time behind bars on drug charges before, but I wanted to know how all of this black tar heroin was getting here.
We know black tar heroin is produced in Mexico and it's smuggled into the United States through the southwest border.
The Drug Enforcement Administration says Mexico and Afghanistan are both leading producers in heroin. But as it makes its way to Kern County, it lands right in the hands of drug dealers, prostitutes, and becomes linked to crimes. And Ben says the hotspot for heroin hustling and a cheap fix is not far.
On Union, a gram is sometimes 50 if you could get it at the right price.
To an outsider, Union Avenue may just look like another street in Bakersfield, but for an addict like Ben, it operates differently. He says you can trade almost anything to get your fix of heroin.
People, they've given up everything else just to use heroin, but they wish they didn't, you know. They didn't want to have to sell their car or sell their clothes on their back or turn to prostitution.
Ben says that's how desperate people get at times when trying to avoid the pain of sleepless nights, diarrhea, vomiting, and anxiety attacks that comes with the heroin withdrawals.
It was just an extreme circumstance that they had to do that.
But there is also a methadone clinic on Union and Adams Street where many addicts go to try to get off heroin. But Ben says many like him turn back to Union hotspots because of tolerance issues.
You don't get sick as often and as much, but you still have to use on top of it just to not feel sick.
Ben wants out of his addiction, and he just hopes that by sharing his story, one less person chooses a path towards heroin, and people find other ways to cope in Kern County.
Help them in any other way besides giving them heroin if they can, if they need help.
After the interview, Ben told me he plans to stop doing heroin as soon as possible so that he can be back in his daughter's life. The Drug Enforcement Administration says the increase of heroin is also due to economic reasons, because when opioid pills become expensive or harder to get, the price of heroin outweighs the pill form, creating more heroin addicts in Kern County. If you would like more information on this story, you can find it under the in-depth section on Roku and or our website, turnto23.com. For the Now Bakersfield, I'm Tori Cooper, 23 ABC. Chris?